Welcome into another edition of Gas. I am Gresh. He is Jason Anik.
You were playing everybody and we're winning the game last night.
The head coach is fighting people on the sideline.
What do you got for me?
I know you're a part of the Tight Pants Society.
No f***ing play is that a gimme, right?
Well, folks, welcome to Gas 51. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost exactly 1 year into the Gresh Anik Show, Gas Morning Drive. That's where you can find us, even on social media. I thought for a second, Jason Anik, you were wearing a Dolphins hat, and I was going to question what in the world happened. Did you get a freebie? But no, it is not. It's got a little bit of the colors of the suck-ass Dolphins, but you and I have a lot to break down with the 8-2. Who would have thunk that? 8-2 New England Patriots. Jay, good morning. How are you, man?
Good to see you, buddy. How you doing, man? Is that the Carhartt sweatshirt? We put the
low
score golf one.
The low score one's in the wash. Gotcha. I ate a lobster roll and got something on.
See, I just love it. So the beard looks particularly good today.
Oh, I had to, it got straggly the other day, and I had to do a big, I had to run like Clippers #2 through it to kind of knock it down a little bit and kind of even it out. I'll tell you what it is. This is one of two digital shows that I do. I do another one for my friends at Sportsbook Rhode Island, and we do it through the Channel 12 app. It's WPRI-TV, the CBS affiliate in Providence. And that one is like right here, bro. Like it's right up in there. So I got to like make sure everything is like even and trimmed up. The nose hair is what worries me on the other one, because I do like a 1 minute straight ahead, which is, but it's so close. I'm like, oh, I got to make sure that, I don't have one kind of hanging out of the old belfry there, and you got to yank that thing out before they put that out to the world. So on this, we have like normal camera angles. On my other show, it is literally right up in there, and they have to like reconfigure the studio for me. Like for most people, they have a chair and they got like a cushion for normals to sit on. I just get that thing out of there. I have to lower the chair to the very bottom. I have to make sure to raise it back up again because, the vaunted anchors will come in there. No one can have anyone to slip off of the chair or anything like that. My God, so, but they had to like, reconfigure kind of, they used to do the same thing in NBC Sports Boston. They would have like the tape for everybody else on the floor, and then they would bring in me and figure out where I would have to stand with certain people. It's crazy time. Thank you. But thank you for the beard, bro. It's I trimmed it down nice, and I actually trying to look like a respectable human being for once.
Well, you do, and you take up a good chunk of space on a TV set. You are a commanding presence, sir. And it's funny, you talk about the camera stuff, right? When John does these, my brother John Anik, the UFC commentator, when he does these close-ups of the open of the pay-per-view, right? Eyes open, wide awake. Brian Stan will say, don't eat French fries Friday night if you want to look your best Saturday night. But anyway, I'm excited to talk to you about the Patriots. I'm always excited to be here Tuesday morning with you. Tuesday comes quick.
Yeah,
and I do a Survivor podcast, a Circus Survivor podcast Wednesday night called Last Man Standing. So, that Monday night football ends, couple shows, and then I feel like every day I got some football leading right into Sunday.
You know where you're getting to, Jay, to the point to where you get done on a football Sunday, you have Monday Night Football, and on Monday you start to turn the page and look ahead to the next week in the NFL before like week 10 is even over with completely, because that's just the speed with which everything moves now. Like I always hoot on the beat reporters who on a Monday, right? Like there's a lot of them who do it in New England. I won't call anybody out because they almost all do it. But on the Monday of the game week, it is, the Patriots open as blank, -5.5 or whatever against said team. When in reality, the line's already out there a week ahead. These are the people who are, these are the people that are disseminating information to the masses that are playing catch-up ball when it comes to the gambling stuff, because on Monday morning, the line just doesn't open. It's normally the Monday before. I've tried to tell all these homyonkels this up there and be like, why don't you present some real information to the people? And they're
there
like,
it is. Homyonkels? Is that
homyonkels.
Is that like H-O-M-Y-O-N-K? Yeah, homyonkel. I mean, maybe our producer Cody Merrow's heard that term before. I love the Greshism. Homyonkel.
It's K-E-L at the end. Okay, so homyonkel. Yeah, you got to flip the spelling around. But to your point though, it's always driven me nuts that they do that, because in the handicapping world, you're almost a week ahead every week once the NFL season starts. When you're putting in your week 1 bets, you're already looking to week 2.
So we're obviously going to chew up this Patriots game, and we're going to look moving forward, but I want to talk to you and ask you specifically about what happened at the end of the first half.
Ooh, okay.
Because I feel as though there are a lot of opinions out there, and everybody, whether it's everybody's a doctor, everybody's a head coach, whatever it may be. But in the moment, I just want to sort of tell you my thoughts about it and really get your thoughts, because my thoughts didn't change regardless of the result. So to take those of you back who didn't know, the Patriots end the first half against Tampa Bay, 14 plays, 78 yards, 7 minute, 10-second drive, right? Which is so significant, right? So they have the ball. I won't give you all the circumstances, but they have it first and goal at the Tampa Bay 1 with 1:44 to go, and Tampa Bay has no timeouts. And purposefully, in my eyes, they have Drake Maye sort of go down and so that they bleed 40 seconds off the clock. They proceed to run it with Trevion Henderson and don't get it the next 2 downs, and then throw the touchdown to Stephon Diggs at the buzzer. But point being, they were going to take the football out of the hands of Tampa Bay no matter what. Whether they kicked a field goal, whether they scored a touchdown, or they got no points, Tampa Bay wasn't going to get any points before New England possessed the ball to begin the second half. And that was sort of the goal. Some people talk about, it's a Madden move, it's a risky move, his players bailed him out, whatever it may be. My take is so firm, Gresh, that I loved it for everything it was. It's a regular season game still, so even if it backfired, so be it. But all the people saying, if it didn't work out, Tampa Bay's still not getting the ball at the end of the half. And that was sort of his paramount point. I was so into this on so many levels. Talk to me.
Well, and I think that's the confidence of Mike Vrabel and the confidence that he has in his football team right now, that if he wants to manage the clock offensively, at least right now against that team, they were good enough to be able to pull that off. And it was in an unconventional way, because when I saw that first play, I thought, that's the worst quarterback sneak I've ever seen. What is Maye doing? And then they kind of broke it down on the broadcast a little bit, and you started to think about it, and then it was, wow, it really made sense. I understand the sensitivity there from Vrabel, because it is Baker Mayfield. And the one thing that would take the steam out of the end of a half is if something quirky happened and Tampa would end up getting some points. Jay, to me, what really stood out to me was early third quarter. They came out and took control of the game. The Henderson run, you could see defensively the way they were playing. They went out and grabbed that thing, I thought, in the third quarter. And the Patriots are now minus 225 to win the division. I know we're going to recalculate some things here on gas. A win Thursday means a cash on the over of 8.5. And Jay, the cash on the over on the 8.5 is not that crazy. The fact that it's happening in week 11 against the Jets is the wild part of all of this when you really think about it.
Yeah, if they win on Thursday night. But forgive me if I finish a little bit more on the head coach, Mike Vrabel, because nowadays, right, with the new kickoff rules, it's even more so that you don't even need a timeout. You get 20 seconds, you throw one 10-yard pass, and you're in field goal range. So I think ultimately, Mike Vrabel has been masterful handling the clock multiple occasions during the season. And it's in so much control of everything they're doing, whether it's even the play calling in the second half. They are focused so firmly in control. And I don't know, I'm just really blown away on a consistent basis. And even if it didn't work out, I still absolutely loved all the instincts. So anyway, you can move on. I just was blown away.
No, you know what it is too, Jay, is we're back to details mattering now.
Yeah.
This is closer to Belichick where it was, we're down to the, we've got it down to a fine point, let's say. And I think that's kind of where Vrabel's at. And for us who remembered the Belichick era, it's like putting on a set of comfortable gloves. It really is, because there's a lot of similarities there. Like this is the shit that we were used to with the Patriots. Clock management, strategy, things of that nature. And you're right. I can understand you completely being excited for Vrabel doing a lot of that stuff, because it lets us know we have somebody who very much is engaged in every element of what is going on with that football team. And it's great. It's good to, hey, look, I bickered on Sunday night on national radio, Jay, with people in Cleveland who are still defending Kevin Stefanski. He won like maybe a couple Coach of the Years because they spiked or something like that. But now the wave is kind of starting to turn a little bit. And one of the teams that people point to is New England. So if you're Cleveland, you've traded for a quarterback. You've done all this stuff, and it's flamed fabulously. And New England had the same thing happen to them last year. They looked like they were flaming fabulously, and they turned it around on the dime with the right hire. And Cleveland is still out there bickering of the, well, we want to keep our guy, da-da-da. Enjoy another 2-win season, you idiots. Like, unplug that organization. They had Vrabel in the building last year, Jay, and they let him out. Yeah.
That's a great point. So was it Christian Barmore who went down and Mike Vrabel was out there holding his hand? And gosh, it's like Vrabel, all the Belichick Parcells stuff he has, and then he has all this sort of personal stuff as well, and the ability to relate to guys in a whole different way. It's like, we talked about the roster, and a lot of these free agents aren't walking through that door for Gerard Mayo, Milton Williams. We could go on and on. Spillane, Carlton, who is walking through that door for Gerard Mayo? There are so many tangible and intangible things. And Gresh, I'll say all the national people want to talk about the Patriots being a contender right now, and we have a lot to talk about. I've been saying it for weeks on this show, and I think you've been with me. I said they were a year away very early, and very quickly, week 4, 5, 6, it's like this, the eye test, it looks like one of the best teams in football. 1-45. Go ahead.
You know what? We're lucky that Gerard Mayo was here last year for one reason. We are now not stuck with the morass of negativity and injury that is Brandon Ayuk. Remember last year, everybody wanted the short fix, right? Well, when the trade deadline came around, Gerard Mayo had so little standing in the league that when he reached out to Brandon Ayuk, and I was told it was a phone call and a couple of text messages, the guy didn't even reach back out to him at the trade deadline. So thank you, Gerard Mayo, for being you. We're now not stuck with paying $30 million to Ayuk for him to be hurt all the time and for Maye to still be out there performing with who he's got.
So in terms of this football game, right? And you were talking about early third quarter, obviously they punch one and they go up. But it felt like for 2 consecutive weeks against Atlanta and against Tampa Bay that they got a little bit conservative and sort of held on in a way. I'm not saying in a negative way. I liked how they were getting conservative. There are a lot of different things that happen in these football games. You're going against 2 really good defenses in Atlanta and Tampa Bay in different ways, maybe pass versus run. But I just continue to believe McDaniel's just pushing all the right buttons and all these guys, the leadership of Stephon Diggs. We could go on and on and on. So do you have any general takeaways? I'm sure you enjoyed that 60 minutes of football.
Oh, no, I did. And believe it or not, for me, it was more about the defense. You know, they went into a place, and that garbage touchdown at the end when they're up 28-16. I mean, that's a, all right, boys, we're bleeding the clock. Yeah, we can afford to give up a touchdown. Let's make sure they churn some time. It really wasn't competitive, at a competitive point in the game, let's say.
Yep.
But I thought defensively against Baker Mayfield, I mean, when you and I talked about it last week, it was, holy shit, you better stick the dagger through that guy's heart, because if you give him a chance, he'll come back on you. And luckily that Henderson touchdown, and, you were praising Vrabel, Jay, and this is where Mike Vrabel has really gotten to the players. Travion Henderson is running for the longest touchdown of his career, for God's sakes. And he's looking to the sideline as to whether they want him to score. So if you look back on his last touchdown, that one that made it 28-16, You got Maye back there going, get down, get down. Henderson's running and looking and being like, yo, can I score this thing? It was totally the right call. Take the points, for God's sakes. Extend it out past the one-score game. They were smart to do so, but Henderson looked for what to do. That's when you know a coaching staff is immensely engaged, when you have players that are in the moment and on the road, too. That's another element, on the road as well. And Henderson's looking to get the instructions as to what to do. That was like choice moment right there for this team this season to let you know how everyone is engaged in the coaching and what's going on.
Absolutely. And talk about on the road, a lot of Patriots fans in the building.
Yeah.
I was really regretting not making the drive to Tampa Bay. It's about a 4-hour drive. I was going to bring my daughters. I'm telling you, the Patriots fans were traveling. You know, in the last 4 or 5 years being a Patriots fan, and look, they haven't achieved anything. Devin McCourty said to Matthew Berry on NBC, we're about winning Super Bowls. Congratulations on the Washington Commanders, who Berry's a fan of, getting to the Final Four last year. We're about winning Super Bowls here. It's not like they've achieved anything, but to hear things like Patriot Nation again and to be along for the ride, I couldn't help thinking to myself about, wow, I'm going to perhaps feel what it's like to feel a disappointing playoff loss this season. You know what I mean? Haven't felt that in a while. The stakes are there again, which is just incredible.
No question. And when you see a guy like Kyle Williams make a play, right? We've been waiting for him all year, hit him over the middle, and it's a good catch and run, and the kid showed he had jets.
Yeah.
You know, there was some
Tampa's all banged up, right? So in New England, right? Keyshawn Boutte, Ramondre Stevenson, your top wide receiver and back, both out. It's like figuring it out, but this team is so deep. Go ahead.
But Jay, there were people I know online. There was where's that guy been? He's right on track. And here's my example. If you remember in 2001, right? They had drafted a Hall of Famer in Richard Seymour. If you go back and look, Richard Seymour played very sparingly the first 8 weeks of the regular season. And then the back end of the schedule and the playoffs, they turned him loose, right? So they were used to playing 12 or 13 games in college. And I remember the Patriots saying, well, look, if we really crank him up in back then at 16 games, we really crank him up in week 9. We've got him for 8 regular season games and then hopefully 3 or 4 playoff games, depending. And it's like playing a college season. And the guy absolutely tore it up and was a massive factor in that very first Super Bowl win, in part because he was fresh. He hadn't been beat up, and he was learning the game. Well, I think there's a big element of that. 8 weeks of getting in the lab and learning, here's what I have to do. It's almost one of those, here's the way I don't want to go major league. We wear caps and sleeves at this level, son. You know, you learned for 8 weeks in a training camp kind of what you need to do, and then they turn you loose. So that's what I'm hoping might be going on here with Williams in kind of a Seymour type way.
Yeah, I absolutely. And, you know, what's he running at Washington State compared to what McDaniels is trotting out there and learning the playbook? I also think he is in a deep room playing behind certain guys. You know, maybe Keyshawn Boutte's out there.
Jesus God, who would have thought, Jay, we would have said that, considering last year we were looking at that. And I mentioned this on TV the other day. I said, you know, Patriot fans at the beginning of the year, even with Steph Diggs, y'all weren't feeling the wide receivers. Now nobody's complaining about the wide receivers.
Yeah, but you and I kind of were on it. You were on Keyshawn Boutte. You were talking about Keyshawn Boutte before in the preseason. We talked a lot about what he did last year. You know, Jalen Polk, maybe don't let the door hit you on the way out. But I think Boutte was a big part of this as we looked at the overall room. And obviously Diggs has been, in terms of physically, what he's healed. But I want to bring something up that Cody put in the chat, which is incredible, and it is on Stephon Diggs, right? So, quote, Stephon Diggs talking about Trevion Henderson. I'm definitely hard on Trevion just because I see so much potential in him. I was talking mad junk to him at halftime, just being hard on him. He went on and on to sort of tell him that, you know, the best guys in the league are breaking that first tackle, right? You see that one carry, Trevion Henderson. I tell you what, man, just to the motherfucking house. Let's go.
You know what it is with running backs? I learned this a long time ago from a scout. The good ones can make one guy miss. The great ones make 2 guys miss. And there are times every once in a while where we see Henderson make 2 guys miss and then go get a positive run. I'm glad Diggs is kind of on him a little bit because there's really no one in that running back room. Like Ramondre's not that kind of guy. Like that's just not Ramondre's personality. He handles himself. But Cody mentioned McDaniels in his bag right now. I mean, in all seriousness, if he didn't have stains on the resume, Josh McDaniels would probably be talked about as the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
It's hilarious. That's so interesting. I don't even have anything to add to that other than I don't believe it'll happen for a variety of reasons. And it's interesting. I wonder, do you go from McDaniel to McDaniels? But Mike McDaniel, it's very interesting. I think it's 1 week at a time, perhaps. I'm not 100%. You think he's out no matter what?
Oh, he's toast. He's toast. He might as well put the for sale sign up now. They fired the GM. They're going to get a new GM. And do you think that guy is going to walk in the door and go, yeah, I'm going to keep the little weirdo over there?
So one thing, just as an overall takeaway from the Patriots, and I hope this continues to be a thing as they move forward and maybe play in the playoffs this year, is the margin for error. They are good enough to have a margin for error. It's 2 straight weeks where they haven't played a perfect game by any stretch. Atlanta was worse maybe than this week, but leaving some things out there, a lot of things to be desired still, right? So room for improvement, but being good enough for maybe 48 of the 60 minutes where you can sort of overcome some things that don't go your way. And if that continues to be the case, right? Even when you look at a game this week, like Thursday night, Jets coming in, I think they won a couple, right? Feeling pretty good about themselves. 11.5 feels like a lot of points. You're pretty confident the Patriots are going to be able to do what they need to do to emerge victorious, even if they don't cover the 11.5.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the win is not in doubt. The cover is where the real discussion is. And I think, this is where the schedule gets a little wonky. So you get a Thursday night game, and then you kind of get like a mini bye week, and then you play Cincinnati, and then you're about to get ready to go on the bye, but then you play Monday Night Football against the Giants, So you're getting like some extra days here and there over the next couple of weeks, and then comes the bye week. And I know, Jay, for I think you and I, and quite honestly, a lot of Patriot fans, it's time to like stop down and kind of recalculate what we once thought about this football team and now where it can go, right? So I even put in our show rundown, even in the most optimistic of scenarios, right? You and I were, hey, if they can get to 10 wins, damn, that'd be a hell of a year, right? You figure you went 10-7, you're a wild card team, and you'd be able to get in. Now, the rules of engagement have changed a little bit. And Jay, is it crazy to think the Patriots win 13 games this year?
For me, Gresh, it's really hard for me to think about a regular season win total right now. But yeah, I think they absolutely would. Baltimore and Buffalo are the only tough 2 games left on the schedule. I don't think you're going to have Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, even though I do think perhaps he's going to play Thanksgiving against Baltimore, but I don't think you're going to be facing him. So perhaps that game is easier. And the Giants, I mean, I think if Jackson Dart plays, I think that's a very tough game no matter what. It's a tough defensive front. So I think, yes, these 3 games with the bye week mixed in, if you get through these 3-0, why not over 12.5 games? But I'm so everyone talks about how much better the NFC is than the AFC. And yeah, but you hear this, right? Oh, the NFC, that's the maybe the cream of the crop or the top is more elite. But we're talking week 11 of the regular season. And as excited as I am about the Patriots, Gresh, I think it's going to be really difficult for them to make a sustained run. I'm just going to give you 5 teams right now that I think the Patriots are going to need to improve right now if they're going to beat these teams in the postseason.
Okay.
Baltimore, Kansas City, Denver, LA Chargers, and Buffalo, right? Now, you can throw some other teams in here, but point being, right, Buffalo, they're probably going to play Buffalo twice before the end of the season, right? The regular season matchup, I have a feeling they're going to cross the path of Buffalo. I feel like Buffalo may be the first team coming to Gillette.
That's what I was going to say. I think, right, it might be Buffalo back in Gillette this time in January.
Now, I don't know how much I believe in Buffalo, but my point in bringing up Denver and the LA Chargers, right, is that these teams Everyone talks about the Patriots' soft schedule, right? And yeah, they've handled the NFC South or whatever, but some of these teams present real challenges for the Patriots. If the Chargers' offensive line is healthy, I know Alt's done for the year, but if the Chargers start to get healthier, they could present some real problems for the Patriots. So I think matchup-wise, the postseason is going to present some very daunting matchups for this Patriots team, despite loving this ride they're on right now.
Well, I think, Jay, it's also reflective of kind of pro football right now. Like, I know on the NFC side, you have the Eagles and the Seahawks are playing well, and you have the Lions. But, you know, we saw the Eagles on Monday Night Football in Green Bay. They weren't great. You know, and a lot of these teams are managing injuries to try to get there. That's, you know what, really,
True.
and I do it very loudly. I hope everybody can hear the knock on wood. New England hasn't really been a triage unit yet, whereas Baltimore, you know, they're fighting the rest of their season just to try to get back to above par a little bit because Lamar went down and got hurt. You know, that's a team where if they're the 7 seed, say New England's the 2, and it's Baltimore who right now is 4-5, but if Baltimore plays their way into the playoffs, they'll be on a little bit of a heater. And then you're dealing with Lamar Jackson and a football team that was expected to kind of win a championship. So to your point, in dealing with Baltimore, you're not only dealing with Lamar, but you're dealing with the run that I think they're about to go on to kind of get back to where they need to be. And that level of confidence is tough to deal with in a team who thought their season was dead. And now maybe they make it in and they're riding an MVP level candidate quarterback.
They're definitely going to make it in, right? They're going to get to 500 this weekend. They've won 3 straight. I'll tell you right now, Gresh, if the Baltimore Ravens are the team coming to town to face the Patriots, you know, I'll tell you right now, I frankly, I think Baltimore at that point would probably be a slight favorite. I know I'm extrapolating and getting ahead of myself, but you talk about a happiness hedge.
Is
I'm
that
going
the
nuts
worst
on Baltimore?
Is that the worst case scenario for New England in the first round, is seeing Baltimore? You'd rather see Buffalo than Baltimore.
Well, see, I'd rather see Buffalo. See that you sort of made my point for me. No matter who you see, I think it's going to be tough, whether it's that Denver defense, whether it's Justin Herbert and company, whether it's Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. I believe that. And that was my point about the NFC may be daunting now, but I believe that AFC postseason is going to be so daunting, no matter how good the Patriots are. And I can make an argument. I'm not even sure I want them to get the bye, Gresh. That might sound stupid. I feel like maybe they need to get a win and get some momentum. And I still feel like there are going to maybe be some growing pains. I think Drake Maye has to stop making the same mistake twice, right? I talk about MVP. I know we're going to get there, right? Anyway, I'm excited, but I don't think Drake Maye's the MVP.
Well, and I'll tell you the other thing too is I gave New England sort of room this year in my thought process on them to have the bad game, to have the turd game. Every team has one. Again, 10 weeks, knock on wood. They have not had a turd performance yet. Now, I don't know if it is to come, but if Mike Vrabel can get this team to play 17 clean games this year, it would be amazing. It would, the most dangerous threat to Drake Maye's MVP candidacy, other than his youth, is Mike Vrabel. And the reason I say that, Jay, is because I think there are more people out there who look at Drake Maye's numbers and say, wow, the kid's playing really well. He's putting up numbers, but he's not Pat Mahomes 50 touchdowns in his second year. You know what I mean? But in New England, the real fail was with the head coach, and now they brought in a functioning adult, and I think that functioning adult ends up getting Coach of the Year and other awards where it maybe takes away some of the steam from Drake Maye's MVP candidacy.
Good. I mean, and Drake Maye's not, whether it's Matthew Stafford or Jonathan Taylor, Drake Maye's not the MVP for me. He just isn't. And I could go on and on.
I'm with you.
What is interesting when you talk about having that bad game, right? Week 1 against the Raiders is kind of hilarious when you look back. Almost feels like a preseason game. Their only other loss, week 3 against Pittsburgh, outgained Pittsburgh 369-203. They dominated Pittsburgh that day. The easy schedule is starting to become more of a factor for me than it was maybe a couple weeks ago. And I think that, but you got to still play who's in front of you. I think the Jets might be competitive. I think the first quarter is really important. I think on Thursday night. I think the Jets could be a little fly in the ointment here with nothing to lose.
Yeah, don't let him be frisky. Like, to your point, get him early. Don't give him any confidence. I'm 100% with you.
But the Drake Maye MVP conversation, if you want to know, for me, is not interesting in any way, shape, or form. Matthew Stafford, 20 touchdowns in his last 5 games, something like that, just on an absolute tear, no picks. Like I don't think it's Drake Maye's, and I don't much care to talk about it. I'm much more interested in the team, and I hope Vrabel takes it out of his hands.
I'm with you, and I know there's a lot of fancy numbers out there about Drake Maye and his completion percentage and 2 touchdown passes and comparing him to all these other quarterbacks and things like that. But as I know, I mentioned to you last week that the three of the more famous guys in Lamar, Dan Marino in 84, and then Pat Mahomes all set some kind of record. Now, will we go deep analytics to kind of find the record that Drake Maye might set along the way? But there's Stafford at plus 105 for the regular season passing touchdowns, and that's going to get you a lot of buzz too. Here's the thing about Jonathan Taylor, Jay. He's already at 17 total touchdowns. The year that old sweet Sean Alexander won the MVP as a running back, I think it was either in 05 or 06 in Seattle, he had 27 rushing touchdowns. And if Taylor puts up 30 tuds total, it's going to be hard for anybody to not vote him MVP. It was 05.
And I think the number 1 seed might go a long way in terms of this MVP conversation
100%.
If it's close, right? But when
100%.
I talk about Stafford and the lack of interception since week 4, I think it's 20 touchdowns, no picks since week 4.
It's four
Maye,
straight games. Yeah, 4 straight games of 4 touchdowns and no picks for Stafford. Yeah.
And Drake Maye threw a terrible interception in this game. Right. And it's 2 consecutive weeks with a bad pick, but this was particularly bad, up 5 late in the game, opportunity, worst case scenario to kick a field goal and go up 8. Right. So for those watching with a fine tooth comb, and I look at that line, that interception sticks out like a sore thumb. Drake Maye did his part, did his job overall in that game. But other than a couple big plays, he was not the sole reason they won this game. I think it's a lot of team effort going along.
Right. Here. And that's what I think kind of hurts Drake overall, is that people will look at it and say, hey man, that Patriots defense went to Tampa and held them to, under 24 points. Or, you'll see there was a big return in a game or something like that. Jay, I'm 100% with you. It's the joy of watching this game that you love, but you understand that it's going to take away from some of the individualism. And Drake Maye right now just happens to be the right guy in the right place at the right time for the right kind of MVP buzz. But I'm with you. I feel like it's a sucker bet. Jonathan Taylor sitting there at plus 600 feels really juicy right now. Not that I love the Colts. It's just because if the Colts are going to have any success, it's going to be with that guy, not Danny Dimes.
I agree. And Lamar Jackson, I saw at Hard Rock Bet down here in Florida, only game in town, 30-1. Lamar Jackson, Cody, I think, put it in the chat. That's a significant, I think we talk about it, I think they're going to go on an absolute tear, and it does matter what you do down the stretch. 2-3 years ago, Ravens at 49ers, Brock Purdy was the MVP. John and I had a nice bet on him. He threw 4 interceptions. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens rolled the 49ers on the road, and the MVP conversation flipped from Purdy to Jackson that day. So it's early to talk MVP.
It is a little bit. I know that the candidates are forming in an orderly queue, and then we'll see where it all goes. I know that you and I are going to do our gold, silver, and bronze. Our podium picks are coming up. We will recap the week that was when it comes to the picks, but we've got UFC 322, and I have family coming into town this weekend that I texted Jay saying, I'm trying to see if we can figure out how to get down to MSG. And then my wife goes, my cousin's coming into town. And I'm like, oh, okay. So there is no trip to New York City for me for UFC 322, but this has now become a card that I think people can consistently count on at MSG, that it's going to be one of the biggest cards of the year. And we've got 2 big title fights, and Islam Makhachev. I've seen some of the photos of him moving up a weight class. I loved, Jay, hearing Islam and his camp say, this is the first time I've used creatine before.
That's
and
funny.
you look at Islam, and they did, and I say they because I'm just going to do the Habib camp, right? They did a great job of having a plan to put extra weight on that guy the right way. He looks like a brick shithouse, man. It's crazy.
Well, that is interesting. I have not seen that yet, and I'm going to definitely take a peek because that is where I believed the real advantage was for Jack Della Maddalena in this main event was the size. So that'll be interesting to take a peek at. This fight card, I said to my brother John, is absolutely bananas.
Loaded.
And we talk about some of these.
Almost overloaded.
It will it really does feel as though that's the case. And I do think to an extent, I don't know what that December card is looking like, but gosh, it feels like they're putting a lot of eggs in this New York City basket. I mean, some of the prelim fighters, right? You're getting RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez in the fourth fight of the night against Roman Coppola, Bo Nickel on the prelims, right? Mershart, Kyle Dawkins, interesting fight. But you move on, and Trace Cortez, Aaron Blanchfield, final fight in the prelims. But the main card, Dariush Benoit Saint-Denis, Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates, Shevchenko, Zhang Weili, Jack Della Maddalena, Islam Makhachev, and I forgot, Sean Brady, Mike Morales to open it. That main card feels like, I mean, absolutely as good as you can put 5 fights on paper, Gresh.
No question, Jay. And this is always one of the better main cards of the year, no question. The flyweight fight between Shevchenko and Zhang Weili, it says Weili Zhang on there, and I always want to say that, and I have to stop myself and remind myself to flip it around a little bit. That has a chance to be a legendary fight. I'm having, from a handicapping standpoint, Jay, in that women's flyweight co-main event, I personally am having a hard time of handicapping that particular fight. I don't know where you land on it.
Well, it's really interesting, right? And I was on the Anik and Florian podcast earlier this week, and they had me pick the co-main and the main event. And I'll tell you who I picked, but because I don't bet on MMA, I'm prohibited from doing so, and I don't. So I don't look at these lines always.
You don't think of it that way.
From a bank account lens, but from the co-main event, Shevchenko I'm seeing now -135, Zhang Weili coming back +110. So a little bit of money coming in on Valentina Shevchenko. I love Zhang Weili in this spot. I just believe that she is her, and I think it's the right time for her to make this sort of leap. I think Shevchenko is probably a little bit past her prime, and I think Zhang Weili is going to have a lot of different ways to get it done. I think she's going to be difficult to control on the ground. And Jack Della Maddalena +220 feels like a big number. You influenced me with what you said about Makhachev's physicality, because I really believe that Jack was potentially going to big brother him, and the areas in which perhaps Makhachev had an advantage on the ground, I just don't think he's going to be able to get him there. So that's very interesting. But a lot of these fights, Gresh, they're all close. Brady -145, Morales +115. That's a crazy fight at welterweight. I'd be curious who Cody likes there. Leon Edwards, Carlos Prates, Beneil Dariush, Benoit Saint-Denis. Who do you like in any? Well, I want to know who you like in all these fights. So start with the main event: Makhachev, Jack Della Maddalena. Makhachev, I'm seeing -275.
Yeah, I'm not betting this fight. I can tell you that, because I don't have confidence in it. But I'm going with Islam just because I think if he finds a way to get him on the ground, I don't know how Della Maddalena ends up dealing with that. And I sent Cody a little video from Twitter of Islam in the ring and the whole upper body and the chest development. And it's like, holy crap. He really put, I think, a lot of time into getting his body right. So I'm Islam. I'm with you. I'm Zhang Weili, but I'm very hesitant to really jump into the pool on that one, because every time I think Valentina Shevchenko's got somebody across from her that she's not going to beat, she ends up beating them. So, that's the thing about Valentina, is she has just levels to her game. And I thought there have been times where she was out before and people just can't get her. I know you're going to jump in on that.
Yeah, well, so Cody's incredibly confident in Islam.
Yep.
And that's noteworthy because Cody certainly has a sharp MMA mind. Gresh, what you said about the physicalities influenced me more than anything. I was on that Jack Della Maddalena train.
Here you go. Here you go. Look up there. Look at him. That's a guy who put on weight the right way. That really influenced me, Jay, when I saw this little video of, when you think of somebody moving up, he's done a good job of putting the weight on.
Gresh.
He's huge.
Say no more. Wow.
Yeah, right?
So, it sounds like the main and the co-main event might be layoffs for you, Gresh, and finding other spots to make money, right? So, Sean Brady, -145. Michael Morales, +115. I have so much respect for Sean Brady. I met him in a weight room, a few months ago, and he was not, he doesn't care who he fights. He doesn't care if he has to win multiple fights to get to the title. And taking this fight on, Michael Morales is all the rage, spent some time with Bilal Muhammad. I think it's a very dangerous opponent. Cody likes Brady, home game for him. I really believe in Sean Brady. I've said for a long time, I believe he's the toughest fight for Bilal Muhammad, despite Bilal having finished him in Abu Dhabi in the second round a couple years back. Brady Morales, potentially any action for you on that one, Gresh?
No, not on Brady Morales, but I'm all in on Beneil Dariush against Benoit Saint Denis. I really like Beneil in this spot. He's +164. So I know I'm going a bit against the grain on that one. Excuse me. I know it's been a minute since we've seen Leon Edwards. I personally, I know a lot. Again, I'm on the underdog side of this card. It looks like a Dariush and Edwards, but I think the prelims are where there's some opportunities. Jay, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. Was Bo Nickel scheduled for the main card and then they slid him down to the main event of the prelims?
My guess would be that he was appropriately penciled on the prelims, given that he lost his last fight.
Okay. All right.
Maybe he won his last fight, Cody, but he lost to Reiner.
Well, I was going to ask is, I know
Cody says he was in the pay-per-view, then moved down. You're correct.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because I know that Bo Nickel signed to do something with Eric Bischoff and that Izzy Rodriguez, the wrestler. I know that Bo Nickel, I think, was going to do a wrestling match for Real American Freestyle, and I didn't know if there was any blowback on that or if it was just, oh, we're on ESPN. We need a good, TV main event, let's call it. And you do that with Bo Nickel and Vieira. Don't you agree, Gresh, though, that there's no room for that fight on the main card? Agreed. Agreed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. He was positioned appropriately. The Kopilov Gregory Rodriguez fight is really interesting to me because old G-Rod gets in there and just finds a way to get it done, right? I just like watching Gregory Rodriguez fight. He's a fun fighter. And then, I don't know if this is I guess this is a flyweight eliminator with Blanchfield and Tracy Cortez. I think they're gonna get after it. Hard not to like Blanchfield heavy in that one.
Yeah, Blanchfield feels like a nice little parlay leg. Maybe tie it to an NFL game you like.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that 100%. And then even in the early prelims, like you're giving me Kyle Dauskas and Gerard Meerschaert for crying. That's a pretty good fight for the main event of the prelims. That's a hell of a fight.
So did I pass over? Is that Wellmakers on this card? Are you kidding me?
Yes, Wellmaker is on the card.
Piece with respect to Cody Haddon. Is Wellmaker at 10-0 losing, Cody? Yeah, there Cody has. I didn't even see it in the chat. Wellmaker -166. Oh gosh.
It's a tough card to handicap though. I do think there are opportunities there. But this feels like it might be the card of the year. There is just great fight after great fight after great fight. And I'm one of those where, even though my youngest isn't here, the big TV, we're especially for a card like this. It'll be on in the early prelims, and we'll be digesting this thing in my house from the jump. But if I had to, if you told me I had to come up with wagers on the top two fights, I would go Islam and probably Zhang Weili.
Yeah, what you said about the right way and creatine, and I look at him physically, I'll be in. Yeah, that really that has moved the needle for me on that fight. I was pretty bullish on Jack Della Maddalena. I'm not so sure I feel the same way, Gresh, if I'm being honest. Right. And I will say my NFL picks, I know we're about to make picks. They change absolutely. You can be sure there are things on Tuesday morning I don't agree with by Friday, Saturday, and could be on the other side in the sports book, despite giving out a play here on gas. So I'll tell you right now, if you're asking me right now, I may lean Islam, and I was bullish on Jack a couple days ago.
Yeah, I was trying to find. Yeah, here we go. This is a tweet that I found. Islam Makhachev says he started using creatine for the first time in his life and instantly felt the benefits. Here's apparently a quote. Oh, this isn't, I hope I'm not getting duped on this. It's the first supplement that actually works for me, helps with recovery, strength, and even gaining some size. Boy, you could tell he gained some size. I mean, Islam just looks thick as hell in the upper body.
I'd love to know what he's walking around at, right? Because 55 to 70 is a huge jump in terms of the scale, right? You have to think it's not going to be some brutal weight cut for him where you can be sure Jack's cutting a lot of weight to get down to 170. Bilal walks around 88, 89. Bilal Muhammad, right? Getting down to 170, not a problem for Bilal, but he's absolutely cutting weight. I mean, Cody, what do you think Islam walking around? It can't be much north of 180. You're right. I mean, how, right? I mean, is 200? No.
Well, haven't there been times where Volk has gotten up there in weight and then cut that thing all the way down to where he needs to get to? So even if Islam is 195, right?
So Cody's saying 200. Cody, you think Islam's usually 200?
Wow. Yeah. Well, because he's probably 175 before fight week to cut down to 55. So.
I'm saying that the idea that he was able to build up bigger than you think he's walking around more than 190 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I'd say maybe 190, 195 might be the max. And then that doesn't sound as crazy a number to cut.
Well, then my point isn't that. Then my point is wrong. If you guys think he's north of 190, then my point is, let's say he's 185 bricked up, Gresh. And my point was going to be that he's not going to have to cut as much weight as normal. And you guys are saying that maybe he still does. So that, in my opinion, the bottom line is whatever they fight at the fight night, it'll be interesting to see where they're both at when they build back up.
And you know what, Jay and Cody, jump in on this too. What do you figure is, I know every fighter's different, right? But what would you say is like the industry standard, let's call it, for how much weight these people are carrying going into fight week before they dump it out? Right? Is it 20 pounds over where they need to be, 25 pounds over where they need to be? Something like that is a scale, maybe. No problem.
Yeah, Cody said 20. I was going to give the same answer just as a general rule, but I think there are obviously a lot of different factors. Right. And I mean, Islam.
So if you're Islam and you got to cut 20 to 25, that's about the way you normally go about it. So, it would kind of make sense given the weight that he's put on. I know that all of the Khabib fighters end up getting run every time they fight, but boy, I feel like I haven't heard a peep out of anybody this week about Jack Della Maddalena. Have you heard anyone talking about this guy going in to defend his title? It feels like it's all Islam.
It's interesting. That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly is the case. And as the designated plus 220 underdog, I think that is built into that line, Gresh. But Jack is an unassuming, kind of soft-spoken guy from Perth, Australia. So
right? He's not going to come out and be like, "Fuck you."
Right.
I'll kick your fucking ass. But there's none of that going on with him, even though that's what he might be feeling inside. It's not outward to the point.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking a lot about Jack Della Maddalena. If I'm not mistaken, Kenny Florian picked Jack Della Maddalena, right? Is that accurate, Cody? So, and I respect his opinion, but Gresh, I'm telling you, my pick has changed today here on Gas Morning Drive. Kenny Florian. Yep. Go ahead.
Seeing bricked up Islam.
Yep.
Swayed you the other way.
It did.
That's interesting.
So
So you really thought that Della Maddalena might have had the opportunity to ragdoll would be the wrong word because this is a Sambo champion, but one of the bigger advantages for Della Maddalena maybe goes away with the way Islam has kind of changed his body a little bit.
exactly. Like I thought for Islam, it was going to be difficult for him to maybe get Jack down and keep him there. Jack Della Maddalena also working with Craig Jones, no slouch. So I think I believed that physically Islam wasn't going to be able to control Jack the way he would like. And I don't feel that way as I sit here now.
I just hope UFC gives us the deliciousness of a DC Makhachev interview because I love the way they go at each other. I love the way Islam needles him. The whole, at one point, I got to go on DC plan, and like he busts his chops about, you play golf, you ride around, and then just needles the hell out of him. Absolutely, I love it. And I think there might be some people who get grins at how Islam can get away with stuff with DC that other people wouldn't be able to needle him over. It tickles me. Give me 5 minutes of those guys in a pre-fight interview, please, UFC.
I've told you, like, Islam has walked up to DC in the booth while he's calling a fight and like told him that he's hungry. So Islam's watching the fights in the fighter section, and he comes up to DC working, and he's like, I need to eat. And he did, you know what? Smart man, Islam, he comes to the right place because the snacks are flowing.
He does.
DC.
He does. And Rogan's always got those like what is it, beef jerky or something like that. You always see the bag of them there at the end of the night.
I tell the story about one particular type of beef jerky that John bought for Joe and DC at one point. John, like Rogan loves this stuff. I started eating it and it was really good. And then I got a few bites in and I was like, all right, this is fucking way too much like a cow. I'm going to go fucking throw up. It's just too real. But as we move into our NFL picks, I just want to say, because when Devin McCourty, I brought this up earlier on the show, said on the set to Matthew Berry, like, we're about Super Bowls. They were talking Drake Maye, Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels got to the Final Four last year. And Devin McCourty's like, we're about Super Bowls in New England. And it really struck a nerve because ultimately that's the vibe I get from Vrabel and the locker room, because and even when I talk about the AFC and the daunting postseason, right? You got to win the whole thing. The Washington Commanders made it to the Final Four last year. Dan Quinn may get fired this year. Who knows the future of Jaden Daniels, that organization? They're the oldest team in football. And even the New York Knicks, as we talk about the NBA getting into the Final Four last year, right? They're all the rage right now, okay? I wish the New York Knicks all the best of luck winning the championship. You got to get, so I bring it up in the context of Super Bowls, the Patriots, right? I don't know how hard the playoffs are going to be, but if they make it to the Super Bowl, that isn't enough. And that's what I like. You feel like this, they feel like one of the best teams in football. And if they don't hoist the trophy, it's going to be a failed year.
That's interesting. No, it's an interesting thought process because I'm definitely feeling different about the Patriots. I feel like this is a real good foundation year, and now they're starting to build some of the house. And if the season ends in a divisional round loss, they have way exceeded expectations. They have taken what would be considered, in my opinion, like a leap towards a championship. Like this year will be the year, Jay, hopefully, that in 5 years, we will look back and say, wow, this built everything, and then they've just added from there. That's the hope. Like for me, I don't want to do the whole house money thing because it isn't. Because if you're going to get there, you win 12 or 13 games when you have the chance, right? Like look at Washington last year, to your point. They had the opportunity. They were able to take advantage of it, and they went as far as they could. And then this year's been a bit of a disappointment down in Washington. But I kind of feel like that's the spot New England will be in next year. Hey, you made the playoffs. Maybe you won a game along the way. You got this young quarterback now. You got your coaching all set. You feel really good about your organization, and then you try to kind of tweak it from there. I mean, the AFC really is wide open, at least until Baltimore and Kansas City show up. It does feel like, though, the AFC is wide open.
And next year could very well be more difficult. This league is built on parity. And so, if Baltimore and Cincinnati and Kansas City, instead of all being 4-5, 5-4, are 8-2, right? There's a lot of different factors, right? Maybe Josh Allen has a new coaching staff, right? Maybe Brian Daboll coming back in town. They had some success together. Right? I'm not saying as a head coach, but maybe call and plays for him. I think there are a lot of different. Buffalo's not going anywhere with Josh Allen over the next few years. So the idea that the Patriots right now, right, and capitalizing on right now, I believe that the Patriots winning in 2001 with Brady, even though they had a down year the next year, helped sort of catapult them to being able to win a couple more. So winning sort of gives you the juice. I think Philadelphia has a lot of juice right now just because they have those shiny rings at home. So ultimately, I think it's really tough to get back there. I don't think the Knicks are winning a championship this year. And I agree. Think it's going to be very difficult for them to do so despite all the hype. Whereas I believe the Patriots right now, if they play well, are as good as any team in football. I really believe.
Here's the thing. If they get the number 1 seed and you get a free weekend, then it's just beating one team who maybe you've seen along the way during the year to get to an AFC title game. And the next thing we're back up there for those AFC championship games. We just did the family ticket count to make sure, because sometimes my father-in-law will donate games of tickets for charity. He's big up at Brown University. So he might say, hey, the week 11 game against so-and-so, it's 4 tickets in the club and more importantly, 2 parking passes.
Wow.
So normally once a year, he'll end up giving away a game. So we made sure it was hey, you didn't do anything with the playoffs. And he was like, I didn't even think they were going to go. And it's great. So we know we got those tickets just in case and stuff like that. But we did the family ticket audit just to make sure how much can we see of this run that is coming up over the next 2 months.
I love it. So we're going to get into our picks, but I just want to say, Gresh, after the Patriots week 14 bye, home to Buffalo and at Baltimore, right? Now, you could say, oh, that stretch will tell you a lot about them. Oh, if they get to it right. And what I would say is I'm a little bit of a law of averages guy. Maybe you give a couple back there, right? Maybe Buffalo comes in, maybe not. I kind of like the Patriots, but you go to Baltimore, maybe you lose one, right? But maybe when Baltimore comes back around, you get them in Foxborough. So a lot of potential sort of rematches, like you said, for the Patriots in the postseason that should be interesting. All right, as we get into our picks, Gresh, you are absolutely stomping me. So this segment is called Podium Picks. We give you a bronze selection, a silver selection, a gold selection. Gresh is absolutely stomping me. We began in week 7. Gresh is 8-4. I am 5-7, and I went 3-0 week in that first week. 18 points you have, Gresh. I have 8 points. So basically, you get 3 points for the gold selection, 2 points for the silver selection, 1 point for the bronze selection. So through 3 weeks, Gresh, 7, 8, or 4 weeks, you're leading by 10 points and 3 games, but the points is what really matters. So last week, you hit 2 of your bets. You hit your gold medal bet on Detroit -8.5, and you hit Seattle. Am I accurate? No.
Oh, no. Seattle is this week. Yeah, it was Vegas.
You hit Vegas last week. So those were your 2 hits, 4 points. I got dumped. I'll quickly say the Jaguars +1.5.
Oh,
right. So they were down. That was a pretty bad beat. Down.
Did you see Liam? Did you see Liam Cohen throw the stuff down and be like, God damn it?
So anyway, so you have a 10-point lead. The punishment is that unless I can come back from this, will do a power hour during the show, which is a shot of beer every minute during the entire show. But good week for you. You were sharp. And quickly, I'll just say your gold medal pick, Detroit -8.5. Cody put a clip out. We both were pretty bullish on Detroit. Great stuff there. Your first selection, week 11. Bronze medal pick.
Bronze medal selection. I'm going with a team that is hot as a pistol right now, and they have another team coming in that is their main competitor in the NFC West in the LA Rams. I'm going Seattle +2. Podium pick there. I like it, Cody. Great job. Yeah, I'm going Seattle +2.5 at LA. I like the way the Seahawks defense is playing. I feel like this week, Jay, all of the talk is going to be about LA. It's going to be about Stafford. It's going to be about offense. And then here comes Seattle with their hard-ass defense and their big run game. And Sam Darnold is playing way better than I thought he would this year. I like Seattle plus 2.5 at the genius and Sean McVay of LA.
Tight Pants Society. So Gresh is hot. Gresh is hot. I am not. So you'll have to decide if you're going to tail Gresh or tail me. But I'm on the other side for my bronze medal play. I'm on the Rams minus 2.5. So both teams 7-2. Both teams 7-2 against the spread. Both teams have won 4 straight overall and against the spread. But you talk about Sam Darnold, right? We've talked about Matthew Stafford, right? But not a good day for Sam Darnold last week, despite the Seahawks blowing out Arizona. 3 turnovers. Sam Darnold has 6 turnovers in the last 3 games, going up against my league MVP and Matthew Stafford. No better 1-2 wide receiver combination than Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I think this Rams team's as balanced as any team in football. 5th best offense, allowing the 2nd fewest points in all of football. I just think these teams are very evenly matched. Now, there may be more Seattle fans there in LA. SoFi Stadium tends to be, a little fair weather fans out in Tinseltown, but I just like LA here to keep it going. And Sam Darnold, Gresh, I think we both sort of didn't believe in him down the stretch last season. We both sort of picked them to lose. I think they did lose at LA in the postseason, if I'm not mistaken. So I just ultimately think the Sam Darnold stuff is going to come bite them a little bit here. But it's not going to surprise me if Seattle runs the ball, plays a little defense, and wins this game here and shuts me up. Seattle's been outstanding on the road under Mike McDaniel. I think they've 10-1, 11, a crazy record for Seattle on the road under Mike McDaniel. But I like the Rams minus 2.5.
How about this? I got a crazy stat for you. Most 20-yard completions in the NFL this year. Drake Maye is 3rd with 35. Matt Stafford is 1st with 37. 2nd, Sam Darnold at 36. So this might come down to who's going to give up the big play and who's not going to give up the big play in the passing game when it's all said and done. Moving to the silver selection for me. This is a theory that I've had for a while, and I've even bet it here when coaches have gotten fired. But give me the New York Football Giants plus 7.5 against Green Bay. Green Bay didn't look great against Philadelphia. Green Bay got off to a hot start, and they went and got, Micah Parsons, and then now it feels like they've kind of plateaued a little bit. So I know there's a question as to, who's going to be the quarterback and all that stuff. Mike Kafka is going to take over short term with the Giants. I just think when you get the coach out of the building, you get an inspired effort that week because you're hearing different things for the first time in a long time. So if it was 7, I wouldn't take it. You're giving me the hook. Maybe I get a hook win here, but I'm going Giants plus 7.5. So
if dangerous Russell Wilson is playing quarterback,
I think they'll still be okay.
That's where I just don't, right? So for me, if I wish Jameis Winston was the backup quarterback there, but in terms of your bet, I like everything other than if Jackson Dart plays, which I don't think he will off the concussion. I absolutely love it. And I think that line tells me Russell Wilson is going to play. I like everything about that other than dangerous. So anyway, I'd probably be on the other side there. All right. My silver medal selection, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens minus 8.5. And Gresh, before we finish, there's one game I want to talk to you about that I don't think either one of us are playing.
Right.
And that is the Buffalo Bills Tampa Bay Buccaneers game.
And by the way, this Baltimore game, I crossed it off my list, but I think you and I are going to have the exact same vibe on this game because I'm with you. I just didn't go with it.
So you were leaning Baltimore minus 8.5 as well.
Heavy. Yeah. Cleveland is ass.
Yeah, I agree. And Gresh, I think when like the Lions last week, which was your gold medal selection. And once you said it, I loved it. Frankly, I should have switched it. I liked it so much after you said it. I feel the same way, sort of fading. I feel like we're kind of fading some teams in spots here. I'm fading Cleveland here. Ravens 4-5. You don't think they get to 500 here? And Cleveland, they couldn't beat the Jets last week, despite only giving up 169 total yards. As good as this defense is, I just don't think they get it done against Lamar Jackson. There's a 52% chance of rain. That gave me pause. But there's rumors Joe Burrow, right? He's in that 21-day practice window. Potentially he could be coming back on Thanksgiving. So it's not as if the Ravens are only looking up at that fading Pittsburgh Steelers outfit. You also might have Cincinnati on your heels. Can't play with your food. This has to be a free square on the schedule. Harbaugh won't have them messing around here. I think they win by double digits.
Agreed. And familiarity, I think, helps in terms of, maybe in the first quarter, Cleveland's got a little something for them, but ultimately Baltimore knows how to adjust. I'm with you on that. In fact, Jay, this Giants pick that I just gave, it was going to be Baltimore, Cleveland. So you and I were sharing a brain on it. And then finally, my gold level pick, Arizona lost. So did San Francisco. I think San Francisco bounces on the road at home. Give me the Fighting Mac Joneses and the 49ers -2.5 at Arizona. Jay, you mentioned about fading some teams. There's no question. This is a big part of this pick for me is the 49ers are a good football team, and I expect them to bounce back. But also, it's an indictment on Arizona. They're trying to do it with old Jacoby Brissett. Then get little calamari out there, and it still ain't going to work. That's another organization. They're West Coast Cleveland. They've convinced themselves that they've got some good people and that they should keep these guys. But in reality, they should be ripping the Band-Aid off and rebooting the whole damn thing.
Couldn't agree more. My gold medal selection this week, the final podium pick of week 11. I'm with you, Gresh. San Francisco 49ers -2.5 at Arizona. Straight Arizona fade for me here, just as I did last week in the sportsbook with Seattle. It's like Jacoby Brissett, like tough day. Wasn't it a tough day? And I wish Brock Purdy would play. I don't think he will this week, but I just think San Francisco is still something to play for at 6-4. And, you talk about the wheels coming off. It's just a nightmare for Arizona. They're 1-3 at home. San Francisco 4-2 on the road. Both of those numbers the same against the spread. San Francisco, though, they need to protect the football. They have a -8 turnover differential, second worst in football. Mac Jones, I hate to say a little piece of that. But yeah, I like San Francisco quite a bit. It was the first game that stuck out to me. That -2.5 is also a number I like quite a bit. And I think in that division with Seattle and the Rams playing each other this week, right? You can't lose that game if you're San Francisco. I don't think they're going to get healthy enough this season to make a real run, but I think Mac Jones, or if Brock Purdy comes, I like it even more. We're both on the same page there.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. And I think there's also the San Francisco bounce factor. Good teams bounce back, after really getting smacked. I mean, they did, they got beat pretty soundly. And that Rams defense, I'll tell you, the 49ers defense had no match for the Rams whatsoever. That's the most negative part about San Francisco for me, is that goof defensive coordinator out there. Oh, guess. No breaks.
He's doing a great job. He has no pieces. Gresh, I considered the Bills -5.5 against Tampa Bay. Like, I don't know what the Bills cost me so much money last week, Gresh. I had them, just in money line, I had them tied to fucking everything everywhere. So,
yeah.
And shame on me, but it's like they're so difficult to handicap for me. But with the Buccaneers, they're not going to be any healthier than they were last week against the Patriots. And I think part of the reason that the Patriots were able to do what they did against Tampa Bay is still sort of a banged up offensive unit right now. So I guess I feel like Buffalo bounces back here. What do you think?
I think Buffalo bounces back, but I think the number's too big for me to trust it. So, like, money line -245, I'd be all over. You're laying a ton of juice there. But, anything outside of 3, I'm probably not real comfortable with the Bills. And that's also reflective of the way Tampa has played this year, too.
Yeah.
Like, they are the never say die kids, really, because of Baker Mayfield. So, I'm with you. If you told me I had to make one, I would lay the points and go with the Bills because I think they are going to win the game. I just don't think they're going to win it by, 5, 6, or 7 points. To me, this feels like tie game, kick a field goal midway through the fourth quarter, and then hold on and win 26-23 or something like that.
Yeah. So just quickly looking at a couple games. I know we're in gas overtime here. I love the Chargers -2.5 at the Jaguars. Like, I feel like Jacksonville. I understand they can't protect the quarterback. They're banged up on the offensive line for the Chargers, but I like the Chargers quite a bit. That Jacksonville team is hilarious. Like, I think I feel like Liam Cohen. I hate Liam Cohen, right? Like, I feel like he could be like really emotional on the sidelines if things don't go right in a bad way and maybe not set the best example. And you said it might be a little early, despite knowing him personally. You said maybe it was a little early for him as a head football coach. I think maybe it is. So I like the Chargers a good bit as well this weekend.
Well, you're now going to learn about, you had a little prosperity. Now here comes the adversity. or what version of the Jaguars are going to stand up. I think we have a general idea as to what kind of effort the Chargers are going to put out there, even though they're dinged up. The question is, what are the Jaguars really going to come with? Is this going to be while we shouldn't have lost that game, we need to go out and kind of make up for it kind of performance? Or are they maybe starting to doubt themselves a little bit and wondering what their peak is really going to be?
Right. One loss becomes two.
It becomes two, and then it becomes three, and then it gets into your head, and you're praying to God the Jets come to town.
So before we get out of here, the Travis Hunt, the Patriots last season losing week 18 and not having we shake our heads. Sometimes things happen for a reason and it can be better. So they didn't get the number 1 overall pick, which we believe would have been Travis Hunter. And despite him being, maybe the quantity is too much than the quality, right? Maybe if he was just playing on one side of the football, who knows? But he's on injured reserve, and the name Bill Campbell to us, that you don't hear much about, just quietly doing his job. 10 to 15 years, going to Celtics games with Drake Maye, protecting him there as well.
You know what's interesting, and just to kind of jump on the way you presented that, the whole sometimes things work out. Supposedly it was Elliot Wolf who really wanted Travion Henderson, because I guess the Vrabel crew wanted the kid Jonas Savanaia, a big Samoan name. I need your brother to help with that. But, so they wanted to draft big old Jonah. So that makes me think that the next guy up on the board was Wilson, who they drafted from Georgia, because they didn't play him at center. They put him at guard, right? Which is interesting to me. So clearly there was a thought, hey, we're going to patch the lefts. We're going to redo the left side of this offensive line. And then Bradbury kind of falls into their lap a little bit. And they decided Morgan Moses was a target. So you could kind of see how the wheels were turning even on draft day as to what they wanted to do with this offensive line. Because I'm convinced, Jay, they're drafting another guard next year. Book it now. You'll be able to rewind the tape, because Bradbury's out of there after this year. He's light in the seat. They need better performance out of center. I think ultimately Wilson, they're either going to find themselves a center and maybe draft one, or Wilson ends up sliding over. His big old ass ends up playing center. They draft a guard to go beside Bill Campbell, like you said. And then you're also kind of balancing the salary cap part of your roster as well. I think I would make Wilson a center unless I can go find some real badass in the draft, like a Linderbaum or someone like that I know is going to be plug and play. But to your point, imagine this team without Travion Henderson and Ramondre dinged up. Terrell Jennings has done yeoman's work, but who would have been that third guy? Might have been Gibson. Gibson ended up getting hurt earlier in the year. So a position that you thought you had some pretty good depth at, you're now down to maybe needing to give Terrell Jennings 20 carries on Thursday night.
Final question for you, and then you can get us out of here after that. I know you have an engagement. So the fact that Joe Shane is keeping his job in New York and Brian Daboll isn't is fucking hilarious to me. But if you were Joe Shane, would you consider trying to go grab William Belichick from
you gotta have the conversation. And if for anything, if you're Joe Shane, you have the conversation to protect yourself, right? Because it'd be very easy for Giants management to say, nah, we don't want you at the end of the year. They're going to let him do a lot of the draft work. You got to, because that's the thing. If you fire the GM, you have to have the guy in-house that you trust that is going to go through all this important college scouting the next 2.5 months. Let's think about it. It's nut-cutting time when it comes to scouting. So you get rid of the head coach, and now you can also look at Joe Shane and say, hey, the guy's done a pretty good job. He was a part of the Dart evaluation. He went and got Brian Burns, right? Went and got Burns, and Burns has turned into a big-time player.
That's true. Yep.
So at least for Joe Shane, he's got some, things that he can say to the owner, hey, I'm not that bad at this, and be able to maybe convince that guy. But I really think, though, Jay, at the end of the year, they're going to let Joe Shane do a lot of work and run those scouts, and then he's going to get it, and then that's where Bill could end up coming in to run things. The Giants are almost at a point, Jay. like the Browns, where if I'm the Browns, everybody gets fired at the end of the year. You're all out. And I make one phone call, and it's not Bill Belichick. It's to Nick Saban. And I tell Saban, you don't have to coach. I'm going to pay you $15 million a year, and you are going to align my organization. You're the guy that will find me a general manager. You're the guy that will be a part of the coaching search. And you don't have to run everything, but I need you to pick the right people to set up an infrastructure that will work here in Cleveland that doesn't have effing baseball people in it, like Paul DePodesta, who just left that organization.
Yeah.
But the Giants are pretty close to needing to do the same thing. That's where I wonder if Bill might be in play. Not that it would, Bill wouldn't coach, but is there a possibility that Bill becomes, does what Bill Parcells did at the end of his football run and just be the guy that sits beside the owner up atop on Mountain High, and you hire everybody else and you tell them to jump and dance for you?
Gosh, that's the last thing. If I'm hiring Bill Belichick, which I would not even consider talking to him if I was running an NFL team, but the only thing I'd let him do is coach. I'd keep him as far away from picking the groceries as possible. I know it's a longer conversation.
Yeah, no, I'd let him jump right back in there. Look at these. Huh. Look at some of the idiots that are doing the job now. Like, do I want to go with a guy with a 25-year history, or do I want Raheem fucking Morris? Ask yourself that in Atlanta right now. Seriously. Right? Because that's what it was. Oh, everybody's scared of Bill. Oh, he had a couple of bad drafts. Yeah, he only had a 15-year run of nailing drafts and first-round picks. Find me somebody who's done that. So when everybody says, I don't want him to shop for the groceries, find me somebody who hit 15 first-round picks, the way Bill did from 01 to, 20. And Mac's real bad right now, leading a playoff team. There's a lot more. There are other, it's not like people make it that this guy is like completely drafted people that are flamed out, yet they'll jerk off that Marcus Jones got an extension and who drafted that guy.
So this is a great long conversation. My brother and I have gone at it. Me on the Brady side, John on the Belichick side. But Gresh, on this fine Veterans Day, we appreciate everyone who
That's right. Thank you to all who have served, and that's right.
But we got to get out of here. I got kids home.
I do. I got a court date.
You got a commitment. So. Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I got a 20-minute ride to go. Anyway, I didn't do nothing. I said I didn't do nothing. It wasn't like the guy from the pepper mill is suing me for harassment or something like that after yelling at him when he tried to skirt the line, that fuck. Anyway, that's it. Folks, we hope you've had as good a time as we have today. We are Gas. I am Gresh. He is Jason Anik. We're here each and every Tuesday here on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. And, of course, you can always watch us on YouTube as well, unless they strike down Cody's great work like they did last week, those a-holes. That's it. We're out of here. We'll see you next week on Gas. Great job by Cody this week, as usual.